So when we install an aquarium, the first thing we need to do is make sure it's level. So it's level that way. That's pretty good. Put the lights in. Okay, so what we've got here is some filter material.
Yep.
And it's really important that all this filter material is never cleaned with tap water.
Okay.
If we want to clean it, we just remove a bit of water from the fish tank.
Yep.
And then the other thing to be aware of is that the medias that you can put in this filter are far better than what comes with the filter. So if you wanted to turbocharge this, I'm not saying you need to,
yeah,
but there are definitely medias available that you could put in this little turbocharger.
Okay. So different to those white things you already put in there?
Yeah, so right now it's totally fine. Now in here is an impeller.
Yep.
So about once or twice a year it's good to pull that out, give it a good clean.
Yep. Well, you do servicing as well.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, servicing is our main business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can service it anytime we want. And we can train the boys how to do it too.
You want a glass of water, Nick?
Sure,
Yeah.
thanks. So it's good to always rinse your gravel first. This stuff's good, it's usually pretty clean.
And if we get a rock, do the same thing. If we come down and do one by rock a few.
It doesn't hurt to do that, yep. Make sure this stays sunk. Go through there. Beautiful. Now, through there. So what the check valves do is they go between the air pump and the air line,
Yep.
just in case the air ever turns off, to stop the water going back into the pump.
Okay. Well,
And
leave it there.
yeah, and then the other thing is if we do want to run that,
Yeah.
we'd need to get another little tap that I can install it next time I'm here.
Yeah.
But another little tap, otherwise the bubbles will just come up quite aggressively,
Yeah. Yeah.
which may or may not suit you. So in the long run, probably getting a nice big plant on this side to hide some of those
yeah.
pipes.
Yep, yep, okay.
And then on this line, we'll need a tap
Yep.
just to slow the air down,
Yep.
because this will probably come out a bit too aggressively.
Yep.
So value for money, this thing's pretty much impossible to breed for what you pay for it. I'd like to see a couple of nice big fake plants on that side. So one thing you are going to want to do over time is get a flipper. A flipper is like a magneted razor blade, and it's absolutely wonderful for cleaning the glass. At the start, there's got high surface tension, so those bubbles, they'll just disappear if you don't wipe them off. We will get the other little water feature going, that's no worries. Now what we're wanting to see is really good surface agitation. So what I'm going to want to do is turn this one on a bit of an angle, because what I really want is this. I want to see the surface really well broken, and I want to see good water flow, which is what I'm seeing. Now the temperature, this will give us the temperature. It's summer at the moment, so we're almost all right now. We're at about 23 degrees. The heater is on. Now the light on the heater will only turn on when the heater's on, and that will be if the heater is lower than what it's set for. So in this case, it's set for 25 degrees. So that light should turn off at 25 degrees. So once again, some nice fake plants to cover that area, and I'll be quite happy. Now what else have we got? We've got our water ager. So basically, water ager works instantly. So if I just pour a bit of this in the water, so I can open it. So it's 1 mil per 40 litres. Beautiful. So that's going to take the chlorine out of the water. That'll work basically straight away. Now adding a bit of salt is a really good idea. So I really want 20 teaspoons of rock salt in here. So there's a button there for turning your light on and off. So 20 teaspoons of rock salt. So once again, there was a button there for the lights. They've got a few different features. Now we're going to want to bring a water sample down to the shop to get the water tested. I probably could have filled it up about 1 centimetre less, but that doesn't really matter. You'll be surprised how much water evaporates. The plan will be now is bring a water sample down to the shop. Then depending on what the water sample says, I would expect the water sample's fine by the way. Then what you're going to do is get a small amount of fish. Have we decided if we're going to go for dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Okay, so in that case, if we're going to go for dogs, then it's basically just a matter of putting about, say, half a dozen dogs in there. There are other fish that go quite well, and when we say dogs, we mean African cichlids. There's a lot of fish that go well with them. Clown loaches, silver dollars, silver sharks, red-tailed sharks. There's quite a mix of fish that people will commonly keep with them. And introducing some of the mid-dwelling ones is quite common to start with, but ultimately we want to get about 6 fish in there. Then we want to wait 2 weeks. Every time we get new fish, we don't want to feed for the first 2 days. Typically we want to feed about 5 times a week, and you want to feed them what they eat in 30 seconds, so there's not one speck of food left after 30 seconds. So we want to do that about 5 times a week, and we want to just be watching their bellies over time. Then over time, if they've got a little bit of a belly, then we're happy. If they're thin, then whatever we're doing, we have to do more. And that's why bringing us the video down is really important. When you bring us the video, not only do we want to see everything going on in the tank, we want to see in the cupboard, and we want to see all your bits and pieces. Do we have any fish food yet?
No.
So the fish food that I want you to buy is probiotics from New Life Spectrum. And the reason why I want you to buy that certain food is because it's the cleanest food you can get. It is aquatic ingredients. It's set at the absorption rate of the fish. It's cold extruded, so it's not pressure cooked and processed, so the fish actually get the nutrients. And it also has a probiotic bacteria in the food, which means when the fish poo, the bacteria in the poo physically eats the poo. So we want to get about 6 fish, then we want to wait a week or two, then we want to get a water test. Then if it's okay, we add another 6 fish, we wait a week or two, then we can get another 6 fish, then wait a week or two. And if we ended up between sort of around 20, 25 fish, that'd be pretty normal in this tank. And don't forget to get some catfish. So you really want to get some fish that are going to help clean, and some fish that will help scavenge in the bottom. And once again, don't be afraid to change your decorations around. So probably every 3 months, I'd recommend swapping things around. And then maybe every 6 months, maybe alternate some decorations in there. And also, over time, when they start looking a bit crappy, if you take them outside, put them in the sun for a day, then flip them around, leave them in the sun for a day, hit them with a hose, and you'll be surprised how well the sun will bleach up the decorations. But you do have to consider the decorations a little bit temporary, because particularly the plants, they are a little bit... So the plants and things will look good for a while, and then after a number of years, you will find that you do need to replace them. But you will find that putting them out in the sun every 3 to 6 months will definitely help them stay nice and clean. And then over years, definitely either rotate out some of the decorations or just get some new decorations. But what I want you to be aware of is that this box is their life. So you have the power to change their, by changing the decorations, you're changing their whole experience of life. So it's sort of good just to do that every now and then. It really helps to stimulate the fish. And then the other thing you need to be aware of with the dogs, and when we say dogs, we mean the African cichlids, is that they're a highly intelligent species of fish. And what happens is if we buy them all when they're small, you'll find that they will tend to all grow up quite well together, and they won't know too different to each other. If you start buying adults, then suddenly you're dealing with fish with different ideas, and the larger ones that don't get along, they've got much more chance of actually hurting each other. And basically what's going to happen in the tank is that there's going to be a very strict social structure. At the start, you won't notice it too much. At the start, they'll all just sort of group together. You might find they hide a fair bit at the start, and then once they feel comfortable, then they'll come out a lot more. And you'll find it not unusual at all that the fish will be completely different with you present to strangers. Because it's quite normal when you hear of people where they'll have a fish that when there's strangers around, it'll never come out, but then when it's just you, they'll come out and really try to get your attention and try and get you to feed them. So it's quite normal to see different behaviour within fish depending on who's home. And what we need to be watching for is the boss. So basically every aquarium, particularly with the cichlids, they're going to have a hierarchy. And ultimately, what we want is a good boss. Now, a good boss is usually a dominant male fish that will usually be present in the centre of the tank. And his job is to keep the other fish in check. So what he should be doing is giving that one a bit of a chase, giving this one a bit of a chase. If he sees 2 fish fighting, he should break it up. And then he should be going around being quite dominant. And providing he's just giving them a little chase and he's not hurting them, then he's doing a good job. But if he's picking an individual and he's chasing it to the point where the individual goes and hides and breathes heavily, that means the stress is affecting that individual. And what we don't want is Adolf Hitler. So if you have a fish and the dominant fish picks on a fish and then eventually he'll kill it,